Hey, what's up with this channel? What's with all this AI stuff? Why doesn't live soundtrack just show the movie clips like all the other channels? Is she trying to scam us or what? Now, I know that some of you might be thinking this, and to be honest and in all fairness, my bad, because I should have explained sooner. Here's the deal. YouTube has a bunch of rules and regulations, and one of them is don't use other people's content without permission. Now, there are channels getting deleted every day, and I love you all, but not enough to get my channel deleted. Sorry. Now, one of the things that I've really missed since my daughter has stopped being a little girl is how we used to play and how we used to use our imagination. We used to skip certain tiles on the floor because if we stepped on them, the monster would rise up and get us. We used to watch out for dragons and witches. We used to jump on the bed to avoid snakes and all sorts of stuff. Somehow, we just don't use our imagination anymore. But when I make these movie reviews, movies is something that I'm so passionate about. I enjoy them so much, and because I like these movies so much, I enjoy talking about them and I enjoy sharing them, and I want to share them with you. I want to bring them alive for you, especially for you, only for you. Now, I know that this isn't going to be for everyone. Not everyone will get it. Not everyone is going to like it. And guess what? That's okay. You have to have an open mind and an open heart. You have to have a certain mentality. You can't be afraid to embrace the unknown, the innovative, the different. So I don't know, are you that kind of person? But even if AI, right, isn't your kind of thing, you don't like it, not interested, that's fair enough. I would like to think that at least you would appreciate and recognize that to put something like this together every week is challenging, and that you would appreciate the hard work that goes behind it. So let me know in the comments down below. Is this a cool way to keep my channel safe while reviewing the romantic movies that we love? I would love to hear from you. But for now, let's get into this movie, Love in the Air or Love in the Clouds. It seems to have two titles. I don't know why. It just confuses me. But let's get into this movie anyway. And if you're interested to know about this movie, if you're interested to see how I use AI to tell this story and to bring it alive just for you, then you know what to do. And that is, don't go anywhere.
When it comes to romantic movies, there's so much out there to choose. But if you follow your heart, the truth is, you can't really lose.
Now we start off this romantic movie by meeting our leading man, Jared Troy, played by the ruggedly handsome Paul Greene. Now Paul Greene is an OG of the Hallmark movies. He's multi-talented, he plays the guitar, he sings, and that's a good thing, right? Now our leading man, Jared Troy, he's a pilot of hot air balloons, and he does romantic rides for couples. He takes couples up in the air balloon where they often get engaged. Now, it's kind of ironic because, as we will find out later, our leading man is a little bit closed off when it comes to love. Now we meet our leading lady, Brooklyn, played by McKenzie Westmore. She is a business reporter, but she's having a little bit of difficulty at work. Her and her boss, Mary, they don't really see eye to eye. Brooklyn wants to be a bit more fun, a bit more spontaneous. She wants to show off her personality. But her boss isn't interested in all of that. She wants it to be serious and focused. And if she doesn't play by the rules, this is already her second strike. So you know what? She better get it together. Now we meet Jared's parents. And Jared's mum is confiding in him that his dad seems to be in a bit of a rut ever since he retired. Now, when I first saw Jared's father, I knew that I had seen him somewhere before, but I couldn't quite picture the face. And then it dawned on me, Lorenzo Lamas. He's the guy that used to play Renegade. I used to love Renegade back in the day, and he was okay back then. But now that he's a silver fox, ooh, I think he's amazing. But I digress. Anyway, so the mom is telling the son that the dad, he used to pilot hot air balloons too, but now he just seems a little bit down and he just mopes around the house as if, he has nothing left to do. He doesn't seem to have a purpose. She asks her son if it would be okay if his dad could go up and fly with him every now and again, and Jared says, of course, no problem at all. The boss sends Brooklyn to Albuquerque to cover the balloon festival. Mary, the boss, she calls up Jared and she tells him that a reporter will be following him and in return he will get publicity. And he has no problem with that. But there's only one stipulation though. Ballooning and his business is fair game. But when it comes to his personal life, that is off limits. Now Brooklyn and her trusted camera woman, they arrive at Jared's house and they knock on the door, but no one's there. Now they know that Jared is a pilot. He's a veteran of 30 years. So they are imagining this older gentleman. So they're waiting outside, not quite knowing what to do. Then all of a sudden they hear a horn tooting and a truck pulls up. And this ruggedly handsome man comes out. And of course, he is our leading man, Jared Troy. And Elise, the camera woman, and Brooklyn, they are pretty surprised to find out that he is this good-looking guy, right? Now, Elise, the camera woman, she kind of senses that there could be something between Jared and Brooklyn, and she opts to go and work on her cameras to make sure that everything is in working order, and she leaves them together. Jared offers Brooklyn something to eat. They go into the kitchen, but his fridge is bare. And Brooklyn said, you know what, don't worry about it. My fridge looks the same, and I don't know how to cook. But Jared says, you know what, I do. I like cooking. It's just that it's not a lot of fun cooking just for one. But he tells her, you know what, make a list of the things that you need, and I will get them for you. Brooklyn asks Jared if he lives alone, and he says yes. Why? Does it seem strange for me to live in this big house all on my own? And she says, no, I'm just asking. So she asks him at what time they have to meet in the morning so that they can get up and that she can follow him and interview him and see him in his element in the hot air balloon. And he says, it's going to be an early rise. And she says, what time? And he says, 3 a.m. And she quite rightly says, 3 a.m.? That's the time I'm going to bed. And I agree with her. 3 a.m. I could not be doing 3 a.m. But he says, no, we have to have an early rise, 3 a.m. And so they make the appointment for the following day. Jared is obviously very passionate about what he does. But the fact that he does romantic rides, it's just a marketing angle for him, leaves Brooklyn a little bit speechless. Elise, the camerawoman, and Jared's cousin, sparks fly straight away. This instant connection. While Jared is working on the balloons and setting everything up, a couple walking hand in hand approaches, and all of a sudden the atmosphere changes and Jared and this couple become very uncomfortable. Jared says, hello, Amber. Hello, Turner. And Brooklyn and Elise, they wonder why this atmosphere between them, what's going on between Jared and this couple. Jared makes a not so nice remark about a client who wants to propose to his girlfriend after being together a couple of months. Hearing this, Brooklyn once again wonders, why is Jared like this? Jared introduces the ladies to his parents, and his father, Brad, he just seems to have lost his zest for life. And his mother seems to work pretty hard in trying to get him to find his purpose again. And she tries to convince him to go up in hot air balloons again. Now, to be able to go up into the air in a hot air balloon, you have to have a green flag. But today the flag is yellow, which means that there is too much wind. In this balloon fiesta, 500 balloons take to the air every 20 minutes. This is the mass ascension. Brooklyn gets Jared to explain to her something about balloons, and she learns, as I did, that balloons can only go up or down. The rest is up to the wind. Brooklyn and Jared, they spend quite a bit of time together, and he takes her to the hot air balloon museum. Now you can tell that they're beginning to like each other. The subtle glances, the stares that last a little bit longer than they should. And I like this. I like the way that they show us that our leading man and our leading lady, that their feelings about each other is starting to grow. I like this. Elise and Carlos, Brooklyn and Jared, they sit outside on a blanket and they watch this beautiful fireworks display. At a certain point, Brooklyn whispers to Elise and she tells her that Jared's passion for balloons, it's so contagious that she almost wants to go up in one. Almost. Because Brooklyn, she's afraid of heights. Now Jared's mum, she tries to matchmake Jared with Brooklyn. And she tells him, look, take Brooklyn around town, show her Albuquerque. Be a good host, be a good tour guide. And Jared says, what if we get the green flag? And the mum says, you know what, there's no problem. Your dad is here. If we do get the green flag and you're not here back in time, he can take the balloon up. Now the dad, he's not stupid. He knows what she's doing. He knows that she's not just meddling in their grown son's business, but he also knows that she's trying to help him to get back into his flow and to find his purpose. Now, while showing Brooklyn around town, Jared takes her up in an airlift. And Brooklyn loses her mind. She is so panicked. But of course, Jared didn't know that she was afraid of heights. And he's really sweet. He tries to calm her down, but he is able to talk her through the panic. And he tells her to just breathe. And he's able to calm her down. Now, Brooklyn's boss, Mary, she is convinced that since Jared said his personal life is off limits, she is convinced that he has something to hide. And she is trying to get Brooklyn to dig out the dirt. But Brooklyn, she doesn't want to do that. That's not what she's there for. That's not her aim. She likes Jared. But Mary, she's not hearing none of it. Remember, she's got a few strikes against her, so she'd better do what she's told. Finally, they get the green flag. But Jared and Brooklyn, they're out and about. They're having dinner, getting to know each other. So, Jared's dad, he takes the balloon up. Good on you, renegade. Go for it. While they're out and about, Brooklyn sees this beautiful blue necklace that reminds her of the sky, and she really likes it. Finally, the gang all meet up. They find Jared and Brooklyn, and the dad tells him just how amazing it was to go up in the air again. Jared is thrilled, and they hug. That evening, walking around and seeing all these beautiful balloons being lit up in the night sky, Brooklyn is almost overwhelmed, and she gets so excited and she forgets herself and she grabs Jared's arm. But she realizes quickly what she did and she lets go of him. But he reaches down and slowly takes her hand in his, and he holds her hand. Now here we have a scene that really doesn't have anything to do with anything, but Jared's father, Brad, he teaches the crew karate or taekwondo, whichever it is. And although it really doesn't have anything to do with anything other than to showcase Lorenzo Lamas's talent, it really is a cute little scene. I really enjoyed it, and I must admit, don't tell anybody, but I did rewind it several times. Jimbe! Jared finally confesses to Brooklyn why he's so closed off when it comes to love. And he tells her that yes, he is scared of something. And she says, what? And he says, remember that couple that we saw on the first day of the festival? And she said, yes. And he said, well, her name is Amber, and she was my girlfriend. And his name is Turner, and he was my best friend. But Amber told Jared that she wasn't in love with Jared anymore, but she was in love with Turner. So not only did he lose his fiancée, but he lost his best friend and also his business, because Turner was also his business partner. So he lost everything. So it's kind of understandable why he had such a hard time in believing in love again. Brooklyn tells Elise that she has feelings for Jared and that his passion makes her want to follow her own passions, and that she loves his parents too. They are the family that she never had. To try and conquer her fears, Brooklyn goes up in the hot air balloon with Jared, but she is petrified. But he says that, you know what, he's going to take good care of her. Now here, you can see that they are not really up in the sky. You can tell that they're in the studio in front of a green screen. But you know what? Who cares? It's just great to see all the different colored balloons. And it's just great to see our rugged leading man with our leading lady. Brooklyn once again is feeling so exhilarated and excited that she grabs Jared and she kisses him, but instantly she pulls away. But guess what? He pulls her back to him and he kisses her. And now the two of them, they are at the mercy of the wind. Jared last minute tells Brooklyn that sometimes the landing of an hot air balloon can be a little bit bumpy, and she gets a little bit scared, and he tells her to brace herself when he tells her to, because sometimes the basket can tip over. And of course she's worried, but she doesn't even have time to think, because Jared says, brace yourself, and she does, and the basket, of course, it tips over and they fall out, hugging each other and laughing. Since it reminded her of the sky, Jared does a really sweet thing, and he goes and secretly buys the blue necklace that Brooklyn had admired in the shop window. He wants it also to remind her that she went up into the hot air balloon and conquered her fears. So, while on the phone to her boss Mary, Jared overhears a conversation between Brooklyn and her boss. And Brooklyn is talking about the jilted pilot and the jaded pilot, and they're talking about him in a negative way, as if they want to use him only for the story. And of course, he doesn't hear the entire conversation where Brooklyn tells her boss that she's not going to do that. She is not going to put Jared out there like that. But of course, he doesn't stay around to hear all of that. He gets the wrong end of the stick and refuses to allow Brooklyn to explain. Now, to be honest, that would be a big problem for me. Not only do you eavesdrop and you get the wrong end of the stick, but you don't even allow me, you don't give me the benefit of the doubt to explain myself. That wouldn't work for me. But anywho, it has to work for these movies, right? Because how would it end? How would he get the chance to do the grand gesture and run after her at the end, right? Upset and disappointed that it ended like this, and upset that Jared won't even talk to her, Elise and Brooklyn leave for the airport with Carlos, and Jared refuses to accompany them to the airport. He's not having it. He won't do it. Absolutely not. Brooklyn, in the meantime, though, has recorded a segment, her piece, on the balloon fiesta. And she asks Carlos, please, will you please show it to Jared? And he says, you know what, I'll try. While at the airport, and angered at what her boss has caused her, which was Jared, Brooklyn tells her boss that she quits. But not only that, as fortune would have it, she gets a phone call and she is offered a job in New Mexico, Albuquerque, where Jared is. What's the chances of that, huh? How lucky is she? How lucky are they? Jared is still annoyed, but his business starts getting lots and lots of requests. People are wanting to go up into his hot air balloon. And Carlos, his cousin, shows him the video that Brooklyn made. And it's a really beautiful and positive piece that showcases Jared and the Hot Air Balloon Festival in a really beautiful and positive light. And it also talks about her and her feelings. Jared, seeing this, realizes that he made a mistake. He looks for his keys, which he had already in his hands. That's how confused he was. He holds onto his keys and runs off to try and find Brooklyn. He gets to the airport and he sees that Brooklyn and Elise, they are coming out of the airport. Jared apologizes to Brooklyn for being an idiot, and he hopes that she would forgive him for not listening to her. And she tells him that it's okay. And he's wondering, what's going on? Aren't you supposed to be on your way to Seattle by now? And she says, no, I'm not going back to Seattle. And he goes, what do you mean? She goes, well, I am going back. I'm going back to pack. But I've been offered a job right here in Albuquerque, in New Mexico. Jared is thrilled. He is so happy to hear it. And they kiss. A year later, surrounded by friends and family, Elise and Carlos, mum and dad, Jared and Brooklyn, they are up in the hot air balloon. And Jared asks Brooklyn if she would marry him. Now, if I'm not mistaken and if I remember correctly, this is how he was going to propose to Amber. And if that's the case, and if I remember correctly, what kind of second-hand proposal is this? But anywho, moving on, Brooklyn is happy. She says yes, she will marry him. And they kiss. And you know why? Because love is in the air. Now there are definitely some life lessons that we can take away from this movie and that resonate far beyond the screen. Courage isn't always about big heroic acts. It's in small daily choices, facing fear, embracing changes, and stepping out into the unknown, both professionally and personally. Brooklyn could have reported on Jared and told about his personal business, but this movie highlights the importance of staying true to ethical principles, even under pressure, reminding us that honesty is the foundation of trust. Jared's journey of forgiving past betrayals teaches us that forgiveness frees us of emotional burdens. What is that one thing that makes you excited to get up in the morning? What is that thing that you can talk about all day, every day to anybody who wants to listen? What is that one thing that once you get involved in it, you get so engrossed that you lose all track of time? Pursuing what really fulfills you professionally or personally, leads to a more meaningful life. Now, before we close, an Italian phrase that sums up beautifully this movie is fidati del tuo cuore. Fidati del tuo cuore. Trust your heart. This phrase perfectly encapsulates our two leads. Brooklyn has to learn to trust her heart over the demands of her career, and Jared has to learn to trust and love after a betrayal. The right path in life is found by trusting your heart, not by following a plan or being defined by past hurts. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel for more reviews like this one. And if you're still here, thank you so much for keeping me company. It was great seeing you. It always is. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. But until then, be kind to yourself and to others. Until the next time,